P103.5 HD3 and worldwide at Rigo44.com.
Well, everybody here on the John Riggins Show certainly hopes your day is going well today. What is this, Wednesday, October 13th?
Yes, it is.
All right. Todd Castleberry, Lou Holden, Kevin Stanfield, and our guest is J.I. Halsell, who writes a column for FootballOutsiders.com under the cap. And we're going all around the NFL with our various questions. And we are just about ready to wrap J.I. up, but we got a few more questions for you. We were just talking about McNeil, the offensive tackle that signed out with San Diego, and a little bit about this unique year that it is an uncapped year. And we saw DeBrickashaw, Ferguson, and then Mangold. You know, they had a little bit of a brouhaha in New York because they wouldn't, at least this first year, guarantee the money. Can you tell us a little bit how that works, J.I., and then what your guess would be on how McNeil's contract is going to work?
Yeah, there are a lot of rules with the uncapped year that are very unique that we haven't had to deal with in previous years, and part of those rules are that if you guarantee money for both skill, injury, and injury, there's some money that would retroactively go against you had to have cap space when there was a cap in 2009 in order to do that deal. And so in order to kind of circumvent some of these unique rules, you're seeing a DeBrickashaw-Ferguson deal where it's only guaranteed for skill, or a Mangold deal where I think he has an injury-only guarantee. And we don't know what Marcus McNeil's guarantee is structured just yet, but we were talking during the break. Albert Hainsworth hit it at the right time where, you know, his money's truly guaranteed because he got his deal.
Skill and injury.
Yeah, skill and injury.
Define skill.
I think it's called pickpocketing. Albert's very skilled.
With a mask but without a mask. And so that's why you see these guarantees being reported as certain numbers, but understand that, you know, they're not truly guaranteed for skill and injury. But at the same time, in order for the injury guarantee to really come into play, you have to suffer a truly catastrophic injury. And a lot of times, like DeBrickashaw, I'm sure, bought his own insurance policy against that happening. So there's you see a lot of these kind of unique structures.
What's your feeling right now as far as this, you know, this being an uncapped year and with the labor agreement coming up here, and then I guess it'll expire in March of 2011. And we talked about it earlier, but I just, you know, we were talking about Bob Kraft and his rose, you know, putting the rose-colored glasses on it. But your personal opinion, will they get it done, or do you think that there is going to be some kind of a lockout and there will be a work stoppage for 2011?
My gut tells me that a deal gets done. If there is a work stoppage or a lockout, that it's during the offseason. I don't think it impacts the regular season, the 2011 regular season, such that we're, you know, missing games or games are pushed back. I think that a deal gets worked out at some point in time in the offseason, if not before the 2011 league year, which would be March of 2011.
What about the you know, you look at the you know, the local guys here, the Burgundy and Gold, and you know, and what their season is comprised of, and how that's been going, and you know, the fact that a lot of people would say, well, they've really turned things around. And you look around the league, and you look in, what is it, the AFC South. All four of those teams are 3-2. NFC East, they're 3-2, 3-2, and 3-2, and then you get the Cowboys at 1-3. We talked about this yesterday. It seems, and we were talking a little bit about the professionalism and guys really being good fundamentally. It almost seems like the game of football this year in the NFL, the quality of the play has taken a step down. Have you noticed any of that?
I wouldn't say that the quality has taken a step back or a step down. I think there's been tremendous parity this year, and I think parity is such a cliche. You hear about it in the NFL all the time. People like to tie parity to the fact that there's a salary cap in the NFL. I don't know how much of that is true or not, but it just seems like there's truly a certain level of balance in the NFL this year. I think I saw a stat somewhere where it's the first time where a team has never reached 5-0 in the NFL. It's the first time where we've got to week 5 and there's not a 5-0 team. So, you know, the 72 Dolphins were able to break their champagne a lot earlier in the season.
Well, when they had Kansas City as the only undefeated team, I think.
Go to the store, get the champagne.
Yeah, Nick was breaking it out. He said, Kansas City, I don't think we'll have that to worry about.
But there's definitely, a unique level of balance this year, and I don't know if that's because of the uncapped year or the level of play, but it's definitely interesting.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think, seeing the Patriots go 16-0 in 07, I think that still, it still brought a certain level of interest, and then it brought even more interest the fact that they lost in the Super Bowl. I think it's a great storyline to follow over the course of the season. I think it gives you an additional storyline to follow, the New Orleans Saints or the Indianapolis Colts in the 2009 season and see if they can go undefeated. It just gives you an additional storyline to follow over the course of the season, so it can only help.
Yeah, that's my feeling, is that you have to have somebody who's dominant, because then you get everybody hoping that they can maintain that, and then you got everybody, that wants to cheer against them.
It gives you something real to kind of root for, because even though the New Orleans Saints are the reigning Super Bowl champions, that was last season. To have a team that's undefeated in the current season, that's something real and right now that you can actually kind of follow, whereas, knocking off the Super Bowl champs, not as cool.
Right.
Yeah, and that's the way I feel about it. I don't know. There's the other aspects of. Is there anything about the CBA other than what we've covered with the 18-game season? Obviously, how they split up their money. Is there anything that you're aware of that's come up in the last couple of months that the owners or the players may be seeking that would perhaps be another situation where they could do a little quid pro quo or a little trade off for this or something? I can't think of anything other than everything that we've covered so far today. Is there?
Yeah, I'm actually just looking over some notes from Roger Goodell, who, and it looks like it was a one-day fall meeting with the owners or whatever else. And, he talks about what Kraft said about, and he goes, I think Kraft is realistic, but we do have a lot of work to do. And
posturing.
Yeah, there were some teams that presented their models for the lockout, which everybody's like, whoa.
What, at this confab?
Yeah, at the confab. So a couple of teams like, here's what we're going to do. We got this or whatever. So they're saying they want to be prepared for all alternatives or whatever. But, it's a lot of posturing.
So is that good or bad? Because John had mentioned this before, that how are the owners going to have a united front against DeMar Smith and the players when they aren't even on the same page? If Robert Kraft is coming out and saying something and Mr. Wilson over in Buffalo is like, whoa,
we live in two different worlds.
Yeah, so, I don't know. That's kind of got to be frustrating for Roger Goodell, because they don't have all their ducks in a row.
I've talked about this the last time I was here. Revenue sharing with the owners is a huge issue, where I don't think all 32 owners see eye to eye on that issue. And so that's an issue that they've got to take care of internally before they can even get a deal done with the union. And it's something that's really not spoken a lot about in the media, is that whole revenue sharing piece, because when you think back to the 2006 negotiation, that really was the biggest hurdle to getting a deal done, was trying to get all 32 owners to sign off on the deal and approve the rules of revenue sharing.
Let me guess. Ashburn in Dallas.
No problem.
And New England, the guy who came out and
they were the biggest ones. I remember saying, you know what?
We don't want to share.
We got it over here, guys. Good luck.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the Bidwells and Ralph Wilson, those guys are like, whoa.
That would kill the game. That would kill. If football ever went the way of a baseball-like structure where you have the haves and the have-nots, that would kill it, in my opinion.
It'd be done.
You couldn't, for as bad as you believe the parity is for right now, 5 games into the season or whatever else, that would be bad.
You don't know if you
two or
try.
three teams go undefeated
year after year.
Yeah.
Well, that's what the Ohio States are all about. That's what the Oklahomas are. How many championships? That's what the what do you call it? The Boston Celtics were all about. Nobody complained about that, did they?
50 years ago, Riggo.
It's even more relevant today.
That's why you'll never see it again, baby.
Drama. Goliath is good.
What do you? Any hurdles relative to? Because I think one of the big 3 components in the CBA was also about the owners definitely talking about a personal conduct policy and tightening this thing up. And could it ever get to the way of really avoidable contracts with some of this?
Based upon, as part of disciplinary?
Yeah. Say if you happen to be taking pictures of your stuff and then you text it out and just hypothetically, J.I.
That's courting in the 21st century.
I have a lot of thoughts on that, but
not in Kevin's neighborhood.
To the personal conduct policy, as it relates to that, I think that the the union feels like there needs to be some sort of formal appeal process. At the way the system's set up right now, like it starts and ends with Roger Goodell. There's really no appeal process.
He's Roy Bean.
Yeah, there's no formal process. There are no formal disciplinary rules. So.
All right. Well, J.I. Halsell, we greatly appreciate you joining us for the hour. Great stuff. The man to get educated on all of this. And when we return, Riggo,
George Wallace.
We got George Wallace going to give us the latest from Ashburn. Some guys that sat out practice today. One in particular we were all very surprised by. Didn't know he was dinged up. More when we return on the John Riggins Show.